we're waiting here for the President of the United States. I'm wondering, by the way, Dan Geltrude, one of my favorite guests on this show because he can, roll with the punches here. And we're trying to get a sense about what's next for us. Will things calm down in Afghanistan? Interestingly enough, though, Dan, it's not jarred the markets. Other things have jarred the markets prior to today, having nothing to do with Afghanistan. So what kind of a factor is this for the markets?
I don't think Afghanistan, Neil, is that much of a factor, because if you look at what goes on with Afghanistan, other than a major terrorist attack, which, if it comes out of Afghanistan, would be problematic, but the market isn't predicting that. Afghanistan isn't really producing a lot of stuff that we're using. So to the extent that this problem, and it's serious, stays contained in Afghanistan, the markets are not going to be fazed by this at all, and clearly we're seeing that.
You know what's kind of wild, Dan? I've been looking at the global market reaction up to this every day, and you would think that at least if you're in that neck of the Afghanistan woods, I've been talking largely about the entire Middle East, that would have been under intense selling pressure, certainly this week. Certainly leading up to it, this month, even this year. But look at the Saudi Arabian market. Stable today. It's up close to 4% on the month, 43% on the year. This is a similar theme that plays out throughout the region. Now, it's alarming to me, or surprising to me, because they're right there. If any market would feel that craziness and concern about the next domino, it would be, well, Bahrain would come to mind, and yet not. Why do you think that is?
Neil, I think what we have to do is look at it from the perspective of being in that part of the world. Uncertainty, craziness, volatility, well, that's the norm. So the markets over there are used to this type of unsettling activity. Now, this is a bigger one, but really, again, I think a lot of people saw this coming. Maybe we didn't, but I think once it came down to we were going to pull out, I think those markets really anticipated that there was going to be chaos. And the Taliban are running right through the country. And then, well, let's see what's going to happen from there. But, Neil, this is normal over there.
Yeah, there is something to that. Let me ask you about another thing that might be underpinning the markets, and I agree with you. I don't think Afghanistan is one of them for the time being. I think, maybe a comeback after, some drubbing going on all this week is due, and that's what we're seeing play out today. Or maybe we overreacted to the tapering thing in the Federal Reserve. But could it be the possibility that the Afghan situation, and now it calls for hearings that could begin as soon as next week, are going to delay some big spending initiatives, and with them, the tax hikes that will pay for them? What do you think?
Neil, it is only going to delay that if they don't have the votes. Once Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have the votes to be able to ram this wild spending through, that is going to happen. All these things that are happening with Afghanistan,
do you think it happens this year, though? Do you think it happens this year? I'm beginning to wonder if it's an event at all, it's a 2022 event.
Again, Neil, I go back to this. If they have those votes before the end of the year, they're going to go for it. I doubt they're going to want to ram through something this big in an election year. So I say this. If they can get it through this year, they will. If they don't, then I'm not so sure it will happen. I think that vote on tax increases and all this spending and what could come out of that may be a little risky in an election year. So I say it's this year or bust.
What have you made of the fact that interest rates have held their own through all of this? It could be a flight to quality. The dollar is higher on all this. Obviously, that complicates things for oil. I get that. But is it a reflection of a nervous world? Because quite a few foreign buyers of Treasury notes and securities this week. That doesn't shock me. But it could also be a reflection of fears of a slowdown. What is it?
Well, Neil, how about this basic concept? How about Jay Powell wants to keep his job at the Fed? And if he starts
Yeah.
raising interest rates, that potentially causes all kinds of chaos within the stock market. So I hear what you're saying, and those are good points. But, if you really break it down to what's important to me, meaning the Fed, well, it's like a politician, keeping your job. So the status quo of keeping those low interest rates will be helpful. Again, the market is going to be impacted by interest rates, if nothing else. So that's what I'm thinking could really be behind the Fed's determination not to raise rates.
All right, we'll watch it closely. Dan, thanks for juggling with all the breaking news here. I know we plan to talk about other things, but I did want to pick your brain on this.